Good evening, everybody. It's Monday, it's history, and what a day to start off with. And it's so sad, the likes of Kevin Keegan, a great Liverpool player, a great Newcastle player, a great. He, he captained England, and then he went on to manage them. He managed Newcastle, and Newcastle, we had two of the greatest matches at Newcastle, one after the other. Absolutely brilliant, So you see Kevin as one of these lovely lads, just a young fella playing for us. And I always remember, I think I've mentioned this before, when he left us to go to Hamburg, I said, are we going to replace him? Because everybody loved Kev. Everybody. And then he went, and we all know who he replaced him with. Kenny Dalglish. But it's so sad when this horrible disease gets you. And it's taken some good people. Really good people. And Kevin was no exception. So it's rest in peace, Kevin. We all loved you. Still love you now. You'll never be forgotten with the teams that you played for. Puts everything into perspective, doesn't it, really? When you hear about these deaths, people that you know, people that you came to love, playing for your football team and playing for your country as well, and captaining your country. Albeit I've never been an England supporter, but nevertheless, it's a northern lad who's done well. A northern lad who's done well. So rest in peace, Kevin. You'll never be forgotten, lad. And just before we go on, I've just got to thank my sponsors. And that's Gap Heating Services. Now listen, people, please, if you know anybody who works for the NHS and they want the homes decorated, please ask these to go in. Don't struggle with decorating. And you get a special discount. And if you know someone who's elderly, say it's your grandparents or whatever, or even your parents, just get them in. Just get them in. You get a special discount as well. Don't struggle with anything. Don't struggle. Just get these lovely people in. And as I keep saying, if you don't fit into the categories of working for the NHS or being elderly, just get them in to give you the price. But no obligation whatsoever. Just get them in, see what they're like. To give you the price, that's all. That's Gap Heating Services. Sponsors of every single pod that I do. And why I'm late, I was up at my daughter's, just sitting out in the back garden, which is lovely because I can't sit out here. And it's just getting some fresh air, a little bit of sun, which was nice, And that's when the news came about Kevin Keegan. Barry Aldridge, hiya Barry. Evening Frank and everyone, hope you're all well. Yes. And see, big up Frank and chat, I'd say. Like and subscribe, peeps. And the T says, Rest in peace, Kevin Keegan. Fantastic player and human being. Thank you for your great times. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that great? Our Davy, our Newcastle lad. Frank, I'm heartbroken tonight. The man who gave me my most cherished memories in following my great club has passed away. Rest in peace, King Kev, a true legend. Here, here. Here, here. And the poet. As I say, people often credit Kenny with doing things Kevin did. Yes, go along with that. Kevin the Keeg. Maggie Young. Hi, Frank. Hi, Maggie. Thanks for joining us, sweetheart. And the poet says, when Kenny joins us, we were the English champions, the European champions, and 2 jammy Man United goals away from home during the treble, as a time when doubles happened twice a century. Spot on there. You're so right. And it was Kevin, wasn't it, who helped us to achieve it. I've said it many times. I had an ambition just to see Liverpool in a final. And when we were in Rome, and Kevin got that penalty, Bertie Vogts bringing him down. And so, Phil Neame putting it away. And a great header by, of all people, Tommy Schmidt. And the first fella to open up the scoring for Liverpool. And I'm talking about European Cup final, not talking about UEFA Cup or anything like that. Terry McDermott. Good shout that though, poet, really. And Davey says his granddad, also named Frank, helped save over 20 miners in Stanley Pit as a away. He was from a great upbringing and never lost his compassion. The likes of Kevin and a few others, footballers, never lost the roots. They always remembered the roots. Like Bob Paisley. Bob Paisley's buried up in the northeast. Never lost his roots. Never lost his roots. And the Shanks up in Scotland. You never lose your roots. And these are genuine people. Ali, good evening. Good evening, Ali. Hope everything's well in Romania for you. Excuse me. The red number 7 shirt was already the most iconic shirt in English football during the 70s, says the poet. Yes. Yes. Even today. Even today. Kevin joined us when we were struggling and hadn't won anything for 6 years and dragged us to the top of the mountain. Yeah. That's why I said, when he was leaving us, we just won the European Cup. And I thought, what are we going to do? Who are you going to get? But that's the genius of Bob Paisley. The genius of Bob Paisley. And he brings in Kenny. AR. Hey, AR. Hi, Frank and chat. How are you? Rest in peace, Kevin Keegan. Like and subscribe. You never walk alone. Thank you, AR. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. And Davey says, hopefully, all the Isak debacle from the last season has been put to bed. Two great clubs can pay respect to Kevin at the first home game. Yeah, that's a cracking point. Well done, Davey. That's a cracking point. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. And my old mate, stay ever. Rest in peace, Kev. You'll never walk now. I'm getting emotional here. Really am. And Carlyle, hiya Carl. Iconic footballer and manager. Superstars TV programme. Brute advert. Air trendsetter. Pop star. He did it all and never forgot his roots. Absolutely. Bang on. Bang on. I remember him when he went to Hamburg, and all he liked was Kellogg. I don't know whether it was Kellogg's or Weetabix. And he said, I don't know how to say. Don't forget, back in the 70s, it was totally different then than what it is now. And he said, I don't know whether it was Weetabix or cornflakes. I'm sure it was cornflakes. And he said, I only eat cornflakes in the morning. He said, and I don't think I can get them around here. I think he got a year's supply. Just get, Kellogg's or whoever, makes the things, sending them to Kevin the Keeg. Lovely. So, lots of respect shown by everybody in the opening of the stream. And Kevin, stay ever. When Kevin first signed for Liverpool, he lived in digs above a doctor's surgery in Waverley, right by me. And when they sign now, no matter what club they go to, they just walk right into mansions. That's what they buy. And you can tell, like footballers going back to the Kevin Keegan era, to what they are today. And I'm talking about money. Just imagine what Keegan would be worth today in his prime. Think about that. Little Kev. And Dennis, all the way from Tampere, says, and Keegan is the greatest that Shankly ever found. Kevin the Keeg. I think it was him and Ray Clements who came together. And he had to play in the reserves, And Davey says, what manager would stand on the steps of St. James to explain the sale of Andy Cole to Man United? He then got us Les Ferdinand. That's what I mean. These fellas knew who to replace other players with. And that's what he was like, Kevin. That's what he was like. And Barry says, my favourite ever player Tosh. Glad I was there to see him play on his debut. Like you, Frank, standing on the cup during what? Yeah. Him and Toshak has a there. It was telepathy. God blimey. Telepathy. Oh, come on, give me a break. You can't see it. Things go up. You say, oh, come on. And Dennis says, hi all, ticking down the days until seeing the Reds in Nashville with my boy Jason. Yeah, the World Cup's over. But I'm having a football show tomorrow, people, please. I really need to do the history tonight. But you can have your take on that World Cup final tomorrow and the aftermath on the pitch. Please. But I know we're paying our respects to a great iconic player. John, and what I believe was the best era, says Barry. Yes, great era, the football. He always referenced Shankly when he was at Newcastle, says Davey. Shankly was one of those fellas, though, Davey. Davey, honestly, is one of the... I think everybody referenced Shankly. I always remember Bobby Charlton was sitting in his house on a Sunday. Bobby Charlton. And he must have been reading the paper or something. And the doorbell went. And his wife goes out. She opens the door. And she says, "I won't be a minute." And goes back in to see Bobby. And she said, "There's an old gentleman at the door wanting to speak to you, or if you'll speak to him." And he said, "Okay." So Bobby got up from it, and it was Bill Shankly. And he brought him in. And Bobby Charlton said he just sat there talking football for hours. John Levy, him and John Levy, great respect for each other. And Steve, my old mate, humble superstar. Yes, he was. He was. And Mr. Lazio. I always count myself lucky that I witnessed the great sides of the 70s. My first game with Dad is in 1968, and a teenager in the 70s watching Keegan and Toshak. That's what I mean. You never forget these people. Good evening. Franco Baresi, says Mr. B. Hey, Mr. B. And Mr. B says, "I'd love if we beat them. Love it. I really would." Man United. That was brilliant, that wasn't it? That was it. I'd love it if we beat them. Love it. I really would. In that interview he was given. Mr. B. Does England not win? As I said, Mr. B, they're coming home. They could be fucking home now for all that I know. Hashtag the 97. Thank you, Mr. B. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Carl, hey Carl, how's it going? Frankie. Hopes you will, matey. Hey, Frank, you've got your operation next month, haven't you, Frank? Oh, yeah. Wasn't Kevin Keegan the first football superstar? Seems a lovely guy, eh, Frank? He was, honestly, he was a humble fella. He was always around, he was always in boutiques, fellas, used to, even Evertonians, giving him stick, he used to just, and give autographs, to the fellas who were buying tank tops like him. He always bought tank tops. Can you have your autograph, Key? Go, yeah, yeah. Thanks for that, Carl. And Mr. B, you'll never walk alone. Thank you. Twice winner of the Ballon d'Or. Brilliant. Yeah, that's why it was. That's well, he was. But he was at Hamburg. I don't know how he got the Ballon d'Or playing for them. Honestly, maybe we better likes it now by them. And they waited for him to go somewhere. And I've drilled into these players. Oh, brilliant, this, Mr. B. I've drilled into these players time and time again that they are privileged to play for you. And if they didn't believe me, they believe me now. Brilliant. I was there. I was in the crowd. You could hear a pin drop when he was speaking. A pin drop. Ian Wilson. Hey, Ian. How are you, Scouts? I'm getting there, put it that way. I'm going in for my operation next month. And I just hope that I come out okay. That's all. And Jamie says, we even forgave him for those 2 FA Cup final goals in 74. You brought it up. I was there. And then we bought Terry Mack off you, who to me was one of our greatest ever midfielders, Davey. And Alan Kennedy, who became a mate of mine. Barney Rubble. I said to him, Alan Kennedy, I said, did you ever mind getting called Barney Rubble? And he went, no, it doesn't bother me. That's humble. I'll tell you another fella who I asked the same question was this fella. Let me show you. I have nights out for these fellas, you see. Tommy Lawrence, if you can see him. Tommy Lawrence there. Tribute night for him and Tommy Smith. And I said, we used to call you the flying pig. What did you think of that? He said, nothing. So it's like these little nicknames that they're given and they didn't see, they didn't care. But I suppose today they would. What do you call me that for? It's the way it is, isn't it? And Steve, in other news, reports that Matt McAllister being sounded out by Madrid pay us over 100 million then you cheapskates. Yeah. We'll talk about that tomorrow, to be honest. And Edwards, big up Frank and chat. Rest in peace, Kevin Keegan. Yes. And Edwards says, what's the show about tonight? It's about history, if we can get there. These are all tributes to the wonderful Kevin Keegan. So I'll be starting it in a moment. I was going to talk about the Civil War, the English Civil War, and the impact. The impact is that. I've just seen a comment there. And Dennis says, Frank, were you able to get to St. George's Hall to see the Minton tiles? No, I can't. I can't move. I've been. I've done everything, you know. But I know the Minton tile floors. Floor. Excuse me. I know the Minton tile floor like the back of my hand. Steve Evans, I tell you. Steve Evans, will tell you. And there's Steve Evans there. The Cameo Conspiracy. Great murder trial. I've done that though, haven't I? But if anyone wants me to do that again, I'll do it. I'll do it. Because I only ever do controversial trials. You know, murder cases. You never want me to do any, I'll do it. But the Cameo, blow your mind. Posthumous is that. Knighthood, says Janet. I think I've got a pot of hummuses in my fridge, to be honest, Janet. But I know what you mean. Posthumous. And Cedric is our mate, is our Hollywood star. Big up, Frank. Just hitting the light, too busy to settle. Hopefully, you have a good stream. Take care, legend, and chat. I'll see you, Cedric. See you, mate. He's sunning himself in the garden, him. Cedric. And Lindsay, evening, Frank. Rest in peace, Kevin Keegan. He'll never walk alone. That's nice stuff. Then, the little red. Might be a shorter history show with the sad passing of KK, Frank. And Janet is making sure that we got the message. Not hummus, posthumous. Posthumous, yes. Did you know that posthumous was named after a Roman general? Yep. He took his own life, actually. Rest in peace, Kevin Keegan. Almost forgot. No, you didn't, Cedric. No one forgets him. Thanks for that, mate. For coming back to mention. Little Kev. Sad day, Frank. Yeah, it is, Janet. It is, sweetheart. And Lorraine. Hiya, Lorraine. Hiya, Frank. What's the biggest change in Liverpool you've ever seen? And do you think it was for the best? Okay. I might be controversial here. I don't know. I don't know. There's been lots of changes, uh, but in my lifetime, okay, I'll give you there two of the worst ones, and it's all been in my lifetime. And older people would know this. It kills me that, when I do that. Right, so the first one, that I was the destruction, vandalism of the overhead railway, the first of its kind in the world, electrified overhead railway. No one has ever done it. No one, only Liverpool. And corruption pulled it down. In its 60-year lifespan, 73 million people paid to go on. 73 million. And we pulled it down. Now, here's the other controversial thing, which is modern. I effing well hate them. And they are the black granite buildings next to the Port of Liverpool building. Well, it's sandwiched between the Port of Liverpool building and the Albert Dock. They're horrible, them. I don't even like the Liverpool Museum. That should have been further up. I just don't like that at all. And you know that it should have been marble on the outside. The architects said, it's going to be marble. Nope, wasn't marble. There's been lots of disasters. When we were building, we're the only major city throughout the country that hasn't got a millennium building. And remember when there was all competition and they said, you, Liverpool, are going to pick it. And it was in the Echo, these buildings. And even, I remember taking my students down to the Walker, the art gallery. And it goes in, and they had the exhibition up there, They had them everywhere, all around Liverpool, not just there. What building would you like? And my students, they picked a certain one. Fantastic it was. And what it was a glass building going up round. Never forget it. Round. Comes down, beautiful glass all around. I'm not talking about dark glass either. Then you had, it's incredible, the sort of glass part going around over it. And it was a wave to keep it, with the sea, with the river. A wave, fantastic piece of architecture. And then other people, voted for these others, which are fantastic, by the way. And I'd say about 2% voted for this other one, just 2%, that's all. Less than 2%, it was 1 point whatever percent. And the council decided to build that one. Oh, we picked that one. And there was Ferrari over it. We picked this one. You know, the majority of people picked, you know, the one I was talking about. And now we'll have Will Allsop's the thing. So everyone was all moaning. You shouldn't ask us. What's that all about? Mike Story was the leader of the council, him. And that wasn't built. So they decided to, because the others, they said, were too expensive. And he's telling us what buildings are built for the millennium. So nothing was built. We're the only major city without one. And we built these black granites instead a few years later to fill in the void. But what someone did, yeah, Jason, what someone did, there you go. That's what you can look. What you can see is the wave. There's the wave there, and the building right next to it, right in front of it. Fantastic. And that was chosen by the people. The people of Liverpool. Oh, we want that one. Not too expensive. The other one was too expensive. The other one, they have 5 things, you know, put on show. And we had to choose one. But anyway, none of them were built. And he chose, you know, the cheapest one. And that wasn't built. What a load of phoniness that was. And then they built the black granite buildings instead. I remember I was down at the museum on the waterfront. I just don't like it, to be honest. It's in the wrong place, in my opinion. And anyway, I was standing outside. I was talking to this lady. And she said, she didn't know who I was, you know. I didn't know who she was. And she said, it's a shame that they built them theirs, isn't it? I said, which? She said, those horrible black buildings. I said, yeah, it is a shame. And that's the way it was. Going back to the day. So that's the one there, Lorraine. So that's a massive change on the dock. Massive. I don't like them, you know, people might like them, I don't know. I don't like the museum, the Liverpool Museum. I don't like that. That's why I went down, you know, I was asked to go down and see what was happening there. I was invited down, so I went. And as I said, that lady mentioned the black granites. They are smack bang in the middle of the Albert Dock and the Port of Liverpool building. Nah. But there was a proposal to have that as a massive park. And I seen the design of it. It was incredible. So that people could come off the ships, you know, and just sit there and then go on the travels. Or when they come back off the travels around Liverpool and wherever, come back and relax before they go on the ship. And in this park, absolutely stunning. It really was stunning. built them instead. Have I gone off? And Davy says, Janet, I was wondering what posthumous was. What posthumous was? Thought it was left over from the buffet. I've got a jar in my fridge. A lovely little Linda. Evening all. Can all use caps to help Frank, please? Thank you, Linda. Thank you, sweetheart. And Gianna says, didn't know that, Frank. Barry says, cracking question, that, Lorraine. Gianna says, never eat leftovers from a buffet, Davy. I went to a party and it was my ex's family. I think it was a New Year or some Christmas or something. And I said to one of the lads who lived in the street, I said, do you want to come along? Do you mind? I said, no, come along. Have a few beers, something to eat. He said, okay. So anyway, he came along. And he was all merry and everything, saying saying hello to everyone. Saying hello back. And the next day, I hadn't seen him for a while, a short while. And then he came back to me and he went, tell you what. I said, what? He said, them ribs. He said, them ribs. He said, there's hardly any meat on them. I said, behave. I said, I've just seen them. There's loads of meat on them. He said, honest. What he was doing. So I said, go and have some ribs. So we walked. And it was the place where all the people out. I put them on the, sucking the meat off. He was actually sucking, trying to bite little bits off. That's genuine, that's genuine. Oh, so fucking funny, honest. You can't make these things up, but I'm not, honestly, that's genuine. And Dennis says, would you say the capital of culture investment has had a long-term positive impact? But it did, yeah, but, politics change. It did, but we still get called for everything. We do. People who's never been to Liverpool, they say, in your Liverpool slums, behave yourselves. Stop it. But, to the majority of people, yeah, it does have an impact. But I'm not being horrible. I just mentioned about certain councillors, certain council. They fucking ruined it, in my opinion. I came out with an idea myself. My idea was to have Dennis getting the art students involved, and I'm talking about drama students. From Liverpool University, we've got 3 universities, and getting them involved, drama. My idea was this: where the castle was, which is where Victoria Monument is today, put up a hologram castle. What's behind me? Here, this. Put a hologram castle up and have these, actors or whatever in medieval garb. If you want me, I'll write a script about it. That's no problem. And they can talk about it when the castle was there, why they built the castle, what kind of a function was it, when it was built, things like that, the historical thing. And people say, oh, it's a great idea. Not only that, but also go down to the dock, and especially the Brunswick dock, and have fellas dressed up in, between 17th century, 18th century sailors garb, and talk about what was happening at that time during the 1800s, 1700s and 1800s, with people going off to war. And Lime Street Station, I said what we could do, get the Lion back off Manchester, because the Lion is ours. The oldest steam engine in the world today, built around the same time as George Stephenson's rocket. So ours is the Lion. There's a pub named after it, facing the Exchange Station. People go in there now today, the Lion. Unless I get that back, put us on tracks, get people around in Victorian garb and tell them that this is, about the Lion and about the railway, the first railway thing in the world, project in the world, the very first in the world, and the first trials of 1830. That's what I said, proposed. And people say, oh, it's a great idea, that's wonderful. No. Not because I drummed up the idea. It was because other people were saying, that's a great idea, castle. Yeah. Liverpool University will do the hologram. No. Oh, and the pier heads, where the Liver building is. I said you could have soldiers both in the First and Second World War, because this was the hub of the Americans when they finally came in to come into the boat wars. This was the hub of it here. All the mobilization and the logistics here. And have them up by the Western approaches as well. Sailors dressed as World War II sailors, giving them the history. And they all thought it was a great idea, but unfortunately it fell on deaf ears because they didn't want to spend anything. I always remember someone asking me, sorry about this to go on, but it really needs to be said. I always remember someone asking me, they said, I won't mention his name. And he said, Frank, he said, can you come down and see these people? I said, what people? He said, can you just come down and see them, please? I said, yeah, okay. So I went down. And there was people with, different accents. I'll just say that. And he said to me, look, will you bring these around? Now, this is just before the capital of culture. This is around 2007. And I said, yeah, okay. I said, I won't paying, you know. I said, this is my bread and butter. So he says, okay, no problem. So I brought these people around with different accents. And then when the capital of culture came about, I never got paid, by the way. And he said, oh, no problem. This fella became mayor, the mayor. And that wasn't the people who I know, Jack Spriggs or any of them. They were great mayors. This fella was a fucking prat. I remember I was outside the town hall. You know, I was in Castle Street. And I was talking about the town hall so that the camera, you know, go right on it. It was for Granada Reports, the Northwest. And this fella who was mentioned, when he was fucking right over, I went, hello, I'm the mayor of Liverpool. Just gagging into everything. I just called him. I was like, can you imagine what I called him later on, you know, when I was filming the show. Stopped. I said, yeah. Anyway, you've got to understand that people, this could have been a lot better. This could have been a lot better, you know, the capital of culture. But these people who I brought around, and then they kept asking me to go down during the capital of culture. And I'm going, why am I coming down here talking to these fucking people? Sorry to swear. Talking to these people. I said, just get some Liverpool historians in. Because what it was giving them all the information. About Liverpool. They weren't from Liverpool. Most of them were from Manchester. Because they were friends with a certain fucking fella here. So you see, you know, it's things like that. That's really annoying. And it's sad. Liverpool people could have done a better job rather than this prat of the capital of culture. And what did he do? Remember, I'm not mentioning his name. You all should know his name anyway, you Scousers. And he brought in an Australian. G'day there, Mrs. G-Ship, to fucking put art up. This is European capital of culture. European. And he brings in an Aussie woman. And there was murder over it. And I mean, guess what? She walked away with 600 grand. They had to pay her. Nothing was shown of hers. But you're sorry you asked that, didn't you? And you, Dennis? Sorry. I Janet, but after the few pints, I eat anything. So, we all do. And Stephen Cochran. Good evening, Frank and fellow chatters. Hope everyone is all well. Yes. And Barry, evening, Stephen. And Stephen said, evening, Barry Aldrich. Janet says, beautiful building, talk. V&A, London. I don't know what you mean there with that abbreviation. Oh. Hello, Pack. I haven't seen you for ages. There used to be a great view of the I don't like calling them pack. I'm sorry, I'm not picky. I know I'm a little bit pickety, like, but I never call them the Three Graces, and I'll tell you for why after I read your thing. A great fear of the Three Graces from the Albert Dock until they built those black buildings built in the shape of a ship, I believe. Yeah. And I would guess where the architect was from. Warrington. And someone mentioned to him, this before they were built, they said, people are going mad over this. They're going mad. And do you know what he said? I'm not bothered, just build them. I'm not bothered what they think. So that's you and me and everybody else. He wasn't bothered. But you're right, and you're not going to believe this, Pac, but the most photographed thing was that side, and you must know this because I know that you take photographs. Do you know the arch? Still there, the arch, right there like that. And when they were out the way, those horrible black granite buildings, that was them. And as you said about, I don't call them the Three Graces, but when everybody took photographs, lots of tourists of the arch, and as you call them, the Three Graces. That was the most photographed in Liverpool, believe it or not. Now, I'll tell you for why I don't call them the Three Graces. It's things about identity. That's the way I look at things. If you take away the identity, you're taking away a lot of stuff. What I mean is, I had a phone call. I was off at the university and said, would you take the 3 students around? I said, 3. I said, yeah. Okay. Now, these were architects, right? But they were students, wannabe architects. So anyway, I was walking down and they said, where are we going? And I said, well, we're going down to see the Cunard, the Port of Liverpool, and the library. I said, we're going to have a walk around there and, we're going to go inside. Everything's being organised. And he said, no, I wasn't nowhere near the pierhead. And he said, where are they? What are they? And I said, don't you know what they are? What I've just mentioned. He said, no. I said, I'll try and guess. So I was still walking down, with them. And they were guessing. And one of them said, are they at the pierhead? Those 3 buildings? I said, yeah. He said, are they the Three Graces? I said, no, they're not the Three Graces. I said, one of them is the Port of Liverpool, the other one is the Cunard building, and the other one is the Liver building. That's their identity. Three Graces, they lose their identity. So in the future, call them by the name, the proper name, the name that they were built with. He went, okay. And that's why, Pac, I never say the three graces, because that's losing their identity. It really, do you know what it's like? It's like an actor. It's like an actor. Or a girl actor as well. And they give them a name. But that name, the real name, is forgotten. Unless you wanted to, I know people who changed their name. I don't know them personally. The likes of Dean Martin, for example, his name was Dino Cricchetti. And he said, oh, you better change your name, you know, too many Italians and whatever. So he did. Bobby Darren. You know, all these, Frankie Valli, they all changed the name to getting away from the Italian. Now, Freddie Cannon's just tried, hasn't he? Way down yonder in New Orleans, like him. Well, he had an Italian name. And he said, oh, you know, you'll have to change it to Cannon. You know, we'll give you that name. Bobby Darren. Oh, we'll give you Darren. Thing is, you see, it's like anything. You lose your identity. You lose your identity. You lose your identity. Changing your name. That's why a lot of people, you know, they call it snobbery or whatever. They have a double barrel name, but they don't want to lose their mother's identity. Because you always take the dad's name, don't you? So they don't want to lose their mother's identity, hence double barrel name. To lose an identity is terrible. Unlike the buildings, 3 of the greatest buildings in the world, 3 most iconic buildings in the world. And Dennis, didn't the Liver building just turn 150 years old the other day? Yeah, I was invited down there. I was invited down there for the 100th anniversary. So that must have been 15 years ago. By the Carl Bernard Bartels. His family were there. And Carl Bernard Bartels, who designed the beds, genuine this. When the First World War broke out, he was incarcerated in the Isle of Man because they called him an alien. And honest, you might think this is a Monty Python sketch, and it isn't. When he goes there, he's a great architect. He designed a Liver beds. So anyway, when he was incarcerated in the Isle of Man, he was walking around. He used to go over. Look, he was 2 young, like soldiers. They were looking after the camp, and used to go over to them and went, "When the war is over, I will take my birds back home, Schweins. Yes, my birds will be back home with me." And they thought he was nuts. Hey, Sarge, this fella keeps going up to us, this German, saying he's going to take the birds back home. We don't know what he's talking about. They didn't know anything about Liverpool or the Liver birds. They were only up a couple of years. And he was the first. So it'd have to be, you know, a prisoner of war. That's what they were. To be repatriated back to Germany. But we still got the birds anyway. I will take my birds back home, Schweins. Schweins. Hiya, Jules. Brilliant history, Frank. So interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Jules. Thank you, sweetheart. And Pax says, I liked it. We'll all sops the cloud. You could see it from space. And most probably you know that. You could, Like the way you can photograph. There you go. Thanks, Jay. Look at that. That's the cloud. There you go, people. Look at that. And you could actually see it from space, just like you could see the Great Wall of China. You could see that. You could see that from space, because it has a sort of a beam on it. Really, honestly, a beam. And that beam only came out of a night. I know it's not switched on in it, but I don't know what it was anyway. And it was passing over overnight there, and bink, is the beam from the cloud. Do you know what? I haven't had a break. Do you mind if we have a break, people? I've got to do my history. Please, is that okay if we have a quick break? I just want to make myself. I've been out. I only got in 10 minutes before this, and I had to get changed. So I'll be back in a moment or two. Cheers. Thank you. This is the poshest chimney in the world, and it wouldn't look out of place on the streets of New York next to the Empire State Building, for example. When I say chimney, what I mean is it's an air vent for the Mersey Tunnel, and there's one on the other side of the water in Birkenhead. This is another masterpiece by Liverpool's own finest Art Deco architect in the world, Herbert J. Rouse. Even though it's just an air vent, the details that went into it, Art Deco details, is amazing. And that was typical of the 1930s. When you look at the basalt statues, one has its eyes open and the other has its eyes closed. That represent day and night, because the tunnel is used 24 hours a day. Even though the bells of St. Nicholas's are calling the congregation for the service, I'd like you to stay with me just a minute longer. And what goes completely unnoticed here in George's Dock Way is the statue of Amy Johnson, the greatest female aviator of all time, and the sculptor Edmund C. Thompson. When we talk about detail, Thompson even put a goggles and a scarf on. Before we go to our next Liverpool Unnoticed, have you ever seen this fine specimen of an eagle? I'll let you know where it is before we finish. What star sign are you? Capricorn, Taurus, Sagittarius? No matter what star sign you are, it's up here on the Cunard building. We've been on the streets of New York with Amy Johnson, but where can I take you now on Liverpool Unnoticed? How about Rome? When you walk down Dale Street and look up, what you will notice is the roof of India buildings. It's no ordinary roof, because the architect, Herbert J. Rouse, has a Roman theme. And when you look closely at it, it becomes a Roman villa. Up close, India building looks very impressive. But to get the feel of the Romanesque villa,
Go to the top of William Brown Street for an absolute clear view. I promised earlier I'd show you the Fort Liverbird. Well, there it is, on top of the art gallery, right next to Liverpool personified. And doesn't the crown make a wonderful nest for the seagull?
What do you think of that then? I had to make myself a cup of tea almost. I really did. I had to make myself a cup of tea. Hope you didn't mind. And Stephen says, the greatest city in the world. I wouldn't argue with that. It's a great shame that the Liverbird clock has stopped working and doesn't say the right time anymore. It's bad news. I didn't know that. It's been stuck in, you see. I don't get to know these things and no one talks to me. Genuine, you know, you might think, oh, behave yourself, right? I'm telling you. And the Superhead. Best wishes, Frank and Joel. One of our best channels on YouTube, and for sure the best Liverpool channel, with best wishes from the Monty Reds Club, Liverpool and the boss. The Monty Reds is Montenegrin people, you know, people. Montenegro, big red fan club. And Stephen, sad to hear the passing of Kevin the King. Yeah. Rest in peace, you'll never walk alone. And she mentions to the Superhead mentions to Dennis, the OH should have brought a non-traffic centre and built a modern tram system like the Lewis of Dublin, in my opinion. Thing is, you see, the thing is, we had a tram system. We made the tram system, by the way. We had the blueprint. So we said, we can't do it here now. Let's put it in Birkenhead. Let's see how it works. Do you know that? We're the first in the world. So we put us in. We put it in Birkenhead, and it worked great. So we decided to put it here, and we did. Now today, we're the only British city, who has a tram, haven't got one. And we bought all the tracks, we bought everything. And the same council who have just been having a go at, the same fella, he said, "Oh, hang on a minute," he said. We'll bring it up from the city centre to Kirby. And everybody and myself said, "Why? There's loads of buses that go to Kirby. Why don't you do it from John Lennon International Airport into the city centre and around the city centre?" So by the time they hummed and hawed and said, "Oh, that's a great idea," the government took away everything. The money that they were funding us. We haven't got one. See what I mean about incompetence? So that's a pain in the bum for me. Control your instincts, Davey. And the lovely Natasha. Hi, Frank. I see Kevin Keegan. Yes. Yeah, poor Kevin. He passed on. My sister is travelling to Edinburgh tomorrow to see David Byrne. I said, "Don't visit Arthur's Seat." Another Prime Minister comes with a plan to help the homelessness. Hopefully see an end to it in the future. Nothing's going to get done. It's going to be the same old, same old. I'm telling you now. They're going to help. I've got to say it. They're still going to help the most corrupt country and leader on the planet with billions. That's not going to stop. Because he's a puppet, he's been put in. Can't anybody see that? Why didn't they have a run an election like they usually did? No, he's just been there. He's your man. And he's by the deep state. And who runs the deep state? Of course. The country that has USA as a country. The thing is, this city has a terrible council, so they should do more for the city of Liverpool, seeing they give the homeless a rough time by taking their tents away. It's bad. But look, you've got to look at it like this. I understand about the tents and that, but it's it looks terrible, doesn't it? And something should. Look, I know a fella who opened up a warehouse, and he said, anyone homeless, they can come here for nothing. He only had 2 rules. Well, 3. 1, don't bring drink in. 2, don't smoke. 3, no drugs. And people just stayed on the streets simply because of that. I think about the homeless every night, believe it or not. Hiya, Frank. Hope you're fit and well. Marie used to be one of my students. Hope you're fit and well. I'm okay. I'm not fit. Far from it. Far from it. Not from when you knew me, Marie, I'm afraid. And Davy says, laughs to Jella, I wasn't going to mention the seat. Love your humour. I was in Naples, right? And I was in the Pompeii Museum. And to see the artifacts in there, honest to God. And they've got a lot of phallic symbols. And I was with this one, and I went, whatever you do, don't sit on that. And a fella came right over to me and said, can you mind your language? And escorted me out. You know, the big phallic symbol. Don't sit on that. Escorted out of a museum. And Carl says, yeah, Joe Anderson, they gone, yeah. But the fella before him, mate, Story, fucked up our tram system. He brought in these Manchester people to run the capital of culture, Carl. And lovely little Linda. We should never have sold the Royal Irish to the guy in London. That would have been a fantastic attraction. Not in the sea, on the pier head, or the Albert Dock. The London guy was not interested in the boat. He has more money than sense. He would sooner, well, he's letting it rot in the Thames. He's letting it rot there. And you're talking about the Irish that the Beatles played on. He would sooner rot in the river. I know a friend, ex-Navy guy, who's a scouser. He was going to sort bringing her back. He wanted like 4 million quid in there, something stupid like that. But it can't be towed back now. It's rotted. Unfortunately, Linda. Know about it all too well. Stephen said, the capital of culture changed the town centre for good of the city and left out parts a dump. Yep. That's why people down the south end of the city, you know, leading from, you know, you go through there up to the city centre, beautiful. But they left the north side of it. And Jella says, calm down, Frank. And Carl, hey, Frank, the Joe Anderson is like Red Scouser John from St. Helens. Yeah, clown Frank. Yeah, same fella who told me to fuck off, and I was a clown because I like Mo Salah. And I said he broke all kinds of records. But you're right. Yeah. Yeah. But you get a lot of pundits, Carl, who talk about, you know, football matters, and they're all woolly-backs. Or from over the dark side there. Not against Birkenhead people, but... And yeah, I'm meeting a family who coming to Liverpool tomorrow. We are meeting at the Titanic. That's nice. That's where they're staying. I don't know why that was called the Titanic, in all honesty. And I suppose people will tell them that it had something to do with the Titanic, that particular hotel or warehouse as it was then. Wasn't. It was the pawn shop, Doc. And they were saying, finally the World Cup over France, so well done Spain. Yes, what a joke the final was. Concerts at half time and Donald Trump gigging in to celebrate. He's a divvy though, isn't he? You'd expected that, to be honest. I never watched, I turned it off then, at the end. And Lorraine, Frank, why are the liver birds called the liver birds? Oh, and by the way, Carl wasn't calling you. No, I know that he wasn't. No, it's he was calling a big soft Joe a clown. By the way, thanks, Barry, for the nice comment before. Yeah, see. That's from the lovely Lorraine. No, I do know that, Lorraine, honestly. And Ezra says, Jürgen's bar had the name changed to the Three Graces. These fucking people haven't a clue, have they? Just haven't a clue. See how much the identity has gone already. Because people, just say, name her the Three Graces. Hang on. And I'm talking in the future as well. And it was a liberal one of stories, fucking fellas who called them the Three Graces. And Stephen says, Joe Anderson and his famous blah, blah, yeah. Steve, the liver bears upon my chest. Men of Shankly best. I'm going to look. I've got to do me yesterday. I'm sorry, but I have to. It's wrong, It's football tomorrow night. So please, I hope you don't mind. I don't know where I am now. I'm just going to add this. I really need people to look. That little child is dead. A child. Look at that. Someone showed the kindness, and you can see the kindness, can't you? I'm going to show you a couple of more. Please, just watch.
Mahmoud. Please, don't at me. No food, no water. No home. Stay, no water. Don't please, don't please.
It's just the way it is. And we're all complicit in this. Every one of us. I was looking at my granddaughter today, because as I said, I was up in Francine's, and she came in from work. She loves the Beatles. She's 14 and she applied for this Beatle thing, and she's working the week. And I said, are you nervous? She said. I said, was you nervous today? She said, no. But they had like an introduction and she can't wait. 14 years of age. A little child can never ever reach that age. I don't think she could reach the age of 6.
Toby,
Look at her head. She's badly scarred. She's badly scarred. I have to, it's getting really upsetting me. But I'm not being funny. I'm really not. You know, by showing you this. I've got something on my phone. You'll hardly see it. And I'm just going to show you the first one. Please. No, that's not. Excuse me. I just can't get it done, unfortunately. And I'm glad in a way. To show this. That beautiful little child. No arms. We can't forget these kids, you know. We can't forget them. I don't. I'm going to have a slurp of me tea. If I might. I'm going to give a couple of books away, you know. So if anyone's interested, let me know. I'm sorry I had to show you them, but I can't get over this. I can't get over it. And you can't, I'm not saying this can't. Excuse me. And do you know that I can get locked up for that? Stephen, have a cup of rosé, like. Thank you, Stephen. I got taken from Lorraine, you know, and he's been taken for me. Someone said, hey, Frank, bumped into him at town. Hey, Frank, you know that? And I don't know whether it was a building they were on about or something else. He said, you better ask Frank Carlyle, not me. And I've been taken about him, for him. And I was with Willie Schmidt. No, it wasn't. I was with a couple of lads anyway. And this fella came up to me, put his arms around me. I said, another boy's from the Blackstone. Can you see another? You know, and a little bulky fella he was, a little muscly fella, you know. And I went, yeah, I'll do one for you, especially. It was with Willie Miller and Sean Stiles, and they were laughing their heads off. He said, we told them that you were there, pleased. I said, oh, was it you, was it? Yeah. And Linda says, look, the Cunard's inside. And oh, yes, Linda, beautiful building. He's a legend, our Frank. So thanks for another great night on the History Forums, says Stephen Coughlin. Thank you, Stephen. And Myra, hiya, Myra. Hi, everyone. Hiya, Myra. History is made every day. Yes, Myra. Yes, Myra's from South Africa, by the way. Still there. Still there. Every day. It's like one of Shakespeare's. It's like one of Shakespeare's quotes, not quotes, speeches. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. And all our yesterdays, meaning history, have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Great speech, Macbeth speech, that. But it's about the gunpowder plotters. Because there was a subplot, a government subplot. That's what it was. So if you think you know about the gunpowder plotters, you don't. Honestly. And Maggie says, My granddad's worked on the trams and became an inspector, did he? No, doddy. Do you ever remember that? When you're talking to someone and they tell you about someone, they go, did he? You go, no, doddy. Oh, people were afraid to say, did he? No, doddy. Hello, Frank and chat. I'm back on dry land for a few days. Rest in peace, KK. You'll never walk alone, fella. That's great, that. Master Wood. We've been talking about him. And Myra, the lovely Myra. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, Myra. Did you hear what Trump said about the Beatles? Because Paul McCartney, has a go at him. Said, I don't like what he's doing. McCartney said. Now, don't forget McCartney's English, still lives here in England. Doesn't live in America. Not like the other Pratt star. I don't like Ringo Starr, by the way. And he said the Beatles were awful. They weren't very good. Couldn't write good songs, couldn't do anything. They were just four fat fellas. Does anyone read that post by him on True Social? Talentless, he called them. The best bands on the planet. He called them talentless. Different generations. Like my granddaughter today. Different generations. She loves the Beatles. And he called them no talent. Or he said they had no talent. Couldn't sing. And Steve, I just got home after meeting up with ex-work. Oh, good. Good, Steve. He's coming to see me. He's coming down to see me, is Steve. And Steve Coughlin said, it's sad that Liverpool Council don't put any money into the north of the city. It's never outdone. But you're right. Oh, Dennis, need to hop off. Have a great night, folks. See you, Dennis. He'd be well gone by now. Dennis is a great fella, Lovely man. And Chess, say hello. Chess, say hello. Don't bring me down. I love the history of West Europe, especially medieval places in West Belgium and the Netherlands. The medieval, I wouldn't have liked to chess. I wouldn't like to have lived there. No matter where it was, whether it was here or in the Netherlands or Belgium or anywhere. Mad. I recently visited Ghent, been there, Ghent. Belgium loved its Viking and trade history back in the late 14th century. See, to have ships, you'd explored the world, especially the greatest of all was the Genoese man, Christopher Columbus. And when they say he discovered, or any other explorer discovered No, you don't discover, because the indigenous people are already there, so you're not discovering. The only time that you ever discover anything is with a Bunsen burner. It's like Nicholas Tesla, one of my great heroes. He discovered electricity. He knew how to break into it. Like the Chinese. Chinese had the very first detective to go, with these crimes 2,000 years ago. And the fireworks 2,000 years ago. The poet. Went to Mersey ferries at Drunket, yes. Wasn't that the reason they had the prefix royal? Yes, spot on. Spot on there, because what had happened, they tried to, nowhere boats could get over booms, what you call the booms. The big nets going from one end to the other to stop anything coming in. And they, someone mentioned about the ferries, they're flat bottomed. So they said, you'll have a go at that. And it was to get into Zeebrugge. So the two of them went down, full of soldiers, obviously, commandos and whatever. And they got through. And there was a big battle, blowing up ships, submarines, whatever, U-boats, undersea booting. And they were blowing them up. And they came back, they limped back because they were heavily damaged. And Edward VII, he gave them the royal prefix because there was 11, these one. There was 11 of them one. Can you see that? I'll take it out. There was 11 of those one. The highest military honour that you could, Victoria Cross. So there was 11 of them one. And Edward VIII said, 7th, he said, we've got to do something about those boats, those ferries. So we gave them the royal prefix, and they've retained the royal prefix ever since. Whether, obviously they're not the same ones, and they're updated. It's just like what Linda Ellis said about it's a shame about that one. The Iris being in the Thames, rotting away. It's the way it is. It's the way it is. So you're spot on there, poet. Well then. Unpack. Andy Burnham is the first Prime Minister to be born in Liverpool, ain't he? Since Gladstone, who was born in Rodney Street in 1809. Yes. And he got the blame for it. People were calling him forever, modern day people saying he was a slave. Fuck off. He wasn't. How could he be a slave when the slave trade enters in 1807 and he was born in 1809? Bam! Fucking tick. I don't like people who try to... America is inventing history. Did you know that? Remember when Trump came out and said, we won the war? No, you didn't. Has anybody seen the Iliad? I had to read it at uni. Not at all. Only a third of it, I think. Something like that. Same along with Tolstoy's War and Peace. I had to read some of that as well, third of it. And its issues. This film that's just come out, have you seen it? Have you seen the girl who launched 1,000 ships? I'm not being horrible, but that girl couldn't launch a fucking rowboat in there, Stanley Park. She's supposed to, I'm sorry. And Achilles, all right, it's not really Achilles, but it's taking the Brad Pitt fucking thing. Elliot Page. And the bard opens up the thing. Have you seen the bard? Who opens it up? You know what a bard is, don't you? Shakespeare. The bard's a Shakespeare, right? That's a bard. Do you see the bard on this? You're going back 3,000 years ago. Well, nearly 3,000 years ago. And you got a rapper in, Nolan, the director, a rapper. And guess what? He's got dreadlocks. What's dreadlocks? Rastafari. It's pathetic. The uniforms are not the same. They actually got a Viking ship. Viking. Why didn't they build one? They spent like how much? Nearly $1 billion. $750 million on this thing. Why didn't they build a little ship? You can't make it up. And the chess says the world is a cruel place. Yes, chess. Yes, chess. It is. It's horrible. Heartbreaking. You're going on about them little girls. Kills me, But I've got loads. I just break down. These are children, people. And Stephen said, breaks me heart seeing them videos, Frank. It's a cruel world. Peace out. Yes. And the chess man says, hate these guys using their innocence, asking for shares and views. Good man. Good man. I do a football show. I'll be doing it tomorrow night. I don't ask for anything. I don't want anything off anybody. The way I look, I'm just saying about football. If a Liverpool supporter comes on and says blah, blah, blah about it, why charge them? And I try to read out every comment, even if I'm doing current affairs, and it's hard hitting. I read out everything. Don't charge. What for? You get opinions. Not you, but those. Yeah, I understand that. I understand chess. I do know that, mate. I was just trying to prove a point with my own streams. That's why I showed them. That's why I showed them. We can't forget these children. I've got a picture somewhere on my phone, and you see this lovely little girl, and she's I think she's going to a wedding because she's in a bridesmaid's dress. But she's got no arms. She's about 10, 12. And when she, they take a photograph of her, before she goes to the wedding or whatever. She never made it to wherever they were getting married. She was blown up. I'll just say to her, I'll get right back to you. Because the lovely Myra says, later Myra, thanks for joining us, sweetheart. Thank you so much. She's the Friday girl, she's the Friday girl. Because that's how we got in touch with one another. Politically minded, that's all. So it's the current affairs, what's happening in Ukraine, everywhere we talk about. And the Woodmaster, Frank, I saw kids in the Balkans being gunned down by snipers. I saw Northern Irish teenagers being shot by the British government. And I saw Iraqi kids being mowed down by an Apache helicopter. Oh, yeah, I've seen that footage. Did you see the footage as well about the Apache helicopter? Where you see a wedding, they were waiting the wedding going on, and fellas walked out. They were just walked out, and they were all talking between themselves. Fucking hell, machine gunned. It was horrible, horrible sight. But that's what's going on. Take care, Myra. Peace, says Stephen. Oh, lovely Myra. Mule slap, sleep well. Is that touch? Myra. Afrikaans. Moon slap. And Pac says, there is no winner in war. Terrible suffering on both sides. So sad and heartbreaking, says Stephen. No Pac, there's no winners. And the master says, governments work like the mafia. They talk to you, then they kill the next generation of your family and everyone else's family. So there's no one to fight back in the 20 years. This is why there's a genocide going on now, because they kill babies, little girls, because they carry. Think about it. Get the likes for Frank, says Steve Malone. Thank you. I'll give you a couple of books when you come up and see me. I think you might like them. Stay. Where were you, Frank? Peace. Thank you, Steve. And Stephen says, big shout out for Frank's sponsor on the podcast. And can you hit the likes for Frank? the main man, please, you never walk alone. Mille grazie. Thank you. And the Woodmaster, I'm interested in the books you have, Frank, in training my reading mind to new authors lately for the first time. Well, come down and see me, for fuck's sake. Sorry to swear. Don't like swearing in front of ladies. Don't like swearing in front of anyone. There's only one fella who swears, and that's that. Do you ever remember that Anfield Road fella? Used to come on, tell me to F off and call me out and everything else. Don't see him now. Been watching the World Cup. Engrossed in the World Cup. And Pac says, Hong Kong have bought trams from Birkenhead and they are still in use today, affectionately called ding dings. Go away. Go away. Is that a fact? That's incredible. It's funny, you know, I was over there at a library sent for me and it was about Wilfred Owen, you know, give a talk about Wilfred Owen. Because I recite his poems, you see. Anyway, I went, so we give a talk. And I seen this tram. And I thought, you know, so I walked over. And I said, does this go? Or does it just go? He said, no. He said, we go at that. I said, oh, can I ever go at it? You know, get on it. Like he said, yeah, come on. I went, sorry. Okay, then he only went about 20 yards and that was it. And ding, ding, off. Ding, ding, start. So we get what you say. Oh, where he is, look. It's the Anfield Road. Evening, Frankie and Chatter. Yeah. Yeah, we spoke about him at Anfield. Great Kevin Keegan, gentleman, on and off the pitch. Farewell, Kevin, lad. You'll never walk alone. Great shout out. Anfield. True, Frank. What about? Right. Oh, Ringo, you're talking about. Yeah. Ringo or James Paul McCartney. He's great, Macca. Comes back here. He's still got a place over in there, over the water. And Peter says, think the Venetians got beat by the Chinese treasure fleet, a massive armada of just over 300 ships led by Admiral Zheng between 1405 and 1433. That's great. That's brilliant. 300, if you can imagine 300 ships coming at you. Never had a clue about that. That's brilliant, that Peter. I love that. And the pack says, Shane Burnham is a blue. Yep. But I was at the Memorial Park and he came to it like say, listen, we can't do anything. And I always went to Anfield. And anyway, you know, for the memorial. And there was a fella, and all of a sudden, he just stood up and said, justice for the 96, justice. And it was Burnham who went back to his government and said, we've got to do something. This is not going to rest. So it was Andy Burnham who got us up and started. And it was, believe it or not, he was the head of the Crown Prosecution, Starmy, and he signed the thing for an investigation. believe it or not. Steve said, don't get me started on Ringo Starr, the luckiest man on the planet who slagged off our city. He's such a phony. The end. Yeah, he did. Jonathan Ross. Fuck him. Anyway. Andy Burnham can't go against the establishment. It'll be business as usual, says Peter. Yes. Absolutely. He's going to do fuck all. And the Superhead, condolences to the family of the great Kevin Keegan. Our boss always talks about the early 70s and especially the 74 final and Kevin. One of many great Liverpool players. Good night all. You'll never walk alone. Thank you. Nice sentimental day. And Barry says, you home tomorrow, Frank? If so, can I drop? Yeah. Anytime you want. I mean, I'm just in all the time. If you want to come down, no problem. Just let me know when you're outside, down at this so I can buzz you in. Because I don't think you'll remember how to get in. So I'll buzz you in when you phone me. And Peter says 27,000 sailors on the treasure fleet. Some ships were as big as football fields. The Chinese created trade partnerships on their travels. No war, no. When was the last time China invaded Europe? When was the last time China invaded America? When was it the last time Russia invaded anywhere in Europe besides Germany? Let me know. They cut us off with the Soviet Union. You know why, don't you? You've got to... I'll do the Operation Paperclip for you once at some time. And the Nazis that was still around Europe was incredible. So they just went, there's your fucking buffer. And it was only the West, because even Austria came under the Soviet Union at one point. And the West was saying, listen, don't, because they were afraid. It's the Alps, you see. And what's in the Alps? What countries? Everywhere. So anyway, they gave Austria back. They said, okay. So I say, when was the last time they invaded? Did they ever invade us? I always remember Khrushchev. And something was going on, during the Cold War, something like that. And the English, as the British, as you know, was saying stupid fucking things. And Khrushchev just said, when was the last time we invaded you? You invaded our country, you lot. Crimea, you see. To try and take over. When was the last time we invaded you? And it's only like that now. Chinese history is so exciting, says Peter. Yes. I think any sort of history. I'm going to show you something. Just let me show you something. A moment. Where is it? Excuse me a minute. You might be able to see it. No, you can't see it. I'll get Jason. That beautiful building there. Can't see it. You see with this fucking that's a microphone. And I can't really see. That beautiful building there, you'd never guess what that was. And that was on the pier head. And it was only knocked down in the 20th century. Bit me tongue before, you know. Anyway. I'll let you know next week. Sorry. There it is. Simply, I'll get a better picture for you. Jeez. Hang on. Oh, there's Uma. Hey, Uma. Hey, Frank, nice to meet you. I hope you will be fine. Now the World Cup is over. It's the Premier League time. Yahoo! That's our lads from over there in the great heat of Asia. Well, join me tomorrow night, Uma, because it's the football show. I'll be finishing in a moment. There it is. There it is, Peter. See, Jason? Look at that. Now, what did Peter guess at? Looks like a train station, I'm sure he said. Yes. Looks like a train station, doesn't it just? I'm going to tell you what it is, or what it was. That was right on the pier head. I think what you can see in the background, believe it or not, is a chimney. A chimney. Now, what chimney is in close proximity at the pier head? And if you think about it, look at the Albert Dock and you see the chimney there, don't you? The pump house. Right. Well, I'm going to tell you what that is. Building. Well, it's not the pump house, you see. That's St. I forget the book. Forget the church. St. Thomas's. That's St. Thomas's Church. People always got mixed up with St. Nick's Church and this church. But anyway, it's St. Nick's Church. St. Peter's Church, I'm sorry. And that, if that was there now, what would be facing is the Cunard, the Liver, and the Port of Liverpool building. Because that, Peter, is a swimming baths. And I think it was put there in 1798 or something like that. 1790s. How beautiful is that? And Irma says, Just waiting for new coaches. I know the team, yes, Uma. We'll be talking about that no doubt tomorrow. Good night, God bless Frank and fellow chatters. Thanks for tonight again and see you tomorrow for the footy show. You'll never walk alone. Peace out. Thank you, Stephen. And Uma. Frank, I have a question. Will you do every... Yeah, I will be, Uma. Yes, I will. All the watch-alongs. I'll be doing Uma, so you can join me on that. I would never have guessed, says Peter. And that's all about a swimming baths. And on that wonderful note, and on Uma's, asking a question, and everybody else asking questions, like Lorraine, what's your most, you liked or disliked? What went on in Liverpool? I think she was talking a part of history or whatever. And that was the overhead railway and those black granite buildings on the waterfront. But there's a load more as well. And on that wonderful note, you lovely people, love yous all. Thanks for joining me. And hopefully I'll see some of you tomorrow on the football podcast. Liverpool Football Podcast. And don't forget, those kids. Peter. Cheerio, Frank. Rest well. Thank you, Peter. Thank you. And as I said, I'll see some of you tomorrow. I'll be back again, the history show, if I can get some history done next Monday. I might do some this week, actually. I might do it half and half on Thursday. That is history and film and TV review. I might finish off my history. I want to do this. Excuse me. I really want to do the Civil War, but I will do it next. I'll do it. I will do it. Promise you. Oh, lovely Karen. Great show, oh, Karen, I love you, honestly. And your stay. And your stay. That's my good friend, really good friend of mine. Erin Ruby. Karen Kariaku. Oh, I love you, Karen. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Oh, Karen, wish you would have said something before. And Uma says, well, Frank, I will watch your every live stream. Thanks, Frank, for taking my comments. We will meet soon. Good night. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Up the Reds. You'll never walk alone. Isn't that lovely? See, this is what I want to talk about next week. Got to talk about it. That's me history. Really me history. The English Civil War. And the impact of that on Liverpool. The impact it's on the whole bloody country, to be honest. And on that wonderful note, you lovely people. I'm going to keep that up for Thursday to see if we can get through some of it. Along with some film and TV review. When you bite your tongue, you get a little ulcer, don't you? Right. Uh, what are your categories of this channel? I don't understand. Can you explain me? Oh, my categories, you mean? Well, tonight, Uma, I do a history show. Tomorrow evening, I do the Liverpool football show. Wednesday, I'm having a night off. Then again, I might be able to do something. I don't know. So you'd have to wait till tomorrow night. Thursday, normally I do the TV and review. But it's all while the football stopped, you see. And on Friday, I do current affairs, what's going on in the world today. Like wars and the cause of them and the escalation of them. So you see, Uma, that's the categories I do normally, fella. Oh, Peter, Lancel and Green family, you heard of them, Frank, from Poulton Hall in Bebington. They must have been round for the Civil War. They all were, Peter. Major families. There were some who were royalists and others who were parliamentarians. But I'll be talking about that. I'll do half on Thursday. I might do it Wednesday, actually. I'll just have to give me 24 hours to think about it. Then I'll tell Jason. Because I've got it all here. Look. Look. What? See there? See? I've got it, everything, maps, you name it, I've got it. About the Civil War. And the impact of that on Liverpool. And on that wonderful note, Peter, I'm going to say good night, everybody. Hope to see some of you tomorrow. You say, why do you keep coming? And you just say, I enjoy your football. Linda just got back. Where have you been? Okay, Frank, good night. Good night to me. And on that wonderful note, I'll see some of you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the night. Have a look at a good film. My old mate, Pac. Thanks for the... Pac, did I ask you to come on here? I'd love you to come on with your photographs, you know. Live. Right. Seen a painter and decorator lives below me, cracking fella. Anyway, I was talking to him and he went, you got your toothbrush in there? I said, yeah. That's how long ago I've seen him. And I said, well, he has a chunky bar of Kit Kat. I said, there's a bit on it, was dead hard on it. I take care. And when I told him how much it is to get fixed, he went, what? Why are your teeth falling? No. It was because I bit on something hard. A chocolate bar, and my tooth came. Well, it's going to be fixed. I'm having an operation next month, and I'm getting it done after the operation. And on that note, I'm definitely going. I've got to say good night, you wonderful people. Hope to see some of you tomorrow. Good night, everybody. Good night, Uma. Thank you.